Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Orn, and in today's video I'll be sharing my must-read books in 2022. It's the start of every year. Everyone is looking for some great books to add to their to-be-read list for the new year. And in this video I'm going to share with you 6 books that you should read in 2022. This list is a mix of fiction and non-fiction. Many of you will know that I'm mainly a non-fiction reader, but in this video I'm going to be sharing 3 fiction books as well that you can read this year. Before I get into the video, I just want to let you know that each month I send out a newsletter that shows book reviews, book recommendations, and interviews from my Book Talk Today podcast, where I interview authors to discuss their books and the ideas and principles inside of this. The newsletter is totally free and you can sign up in the description below. The first book in my must-reads for 2022 is the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Followers of mine will know how much I absolutely love this book. And at the start of every year, everyone is looking to establish new habits in order to reach their goals and perhaps even get rid of bad habits. And this book is the answer to that question. The book Atomic Habits builds up on the ideas in The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg and seeks to explain how you can use the habit loop to create new habits and get rid of bad ones. If there was one thing that I took away from this book, it was the fact that small incremental changes over a large period of time wield massive results, hence the name Atomic Habits. And it seeks to do this by explaining the 4 laws of habit formation, which is make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Once you realize that small incremental changes over a large period of time wield massive results, you can set up your goals in order to make sure that you're focusing on the processes instead of fixating on the goals. He gives a great example in the book that says that each athlete that goes to the Olympics wants to win a gold medal. But setting the goal to win a gold medal doesn't mean that you will win a gold medal. It is the individuals that have focused their training, their nutrition, and everything in between in order to make sure that they are best prepared to reach that gold medal status. So if you're someone that is looking to upgrade their habits in 2022, or perhaps even looking to get rid of some bad ones, then definitely pick up Atomic Habits by James Clear. The second book in my non-fiction list for 2022 is the book Deep Work by Cal Newport. And this book pairs really well with the book previously, Atomic Habits. And the premise of this book is that we should all be focusing our attention on setting up our schedules in order to maximize periods of deep work. Now, deep work are periods of work that are cognitively intense and allow us to get the maximum output. So for example, imagine you're at work and you are sending emails. That is an example of shallow work. That is work that, for instance, may seem like work, but you're not getting the maximum output for. Instead, a period of deep work might be separating or scheduling 2 hours in order to do a cognitively intense task, like writing a report or doing an Excel spreadsheet report, or whatever it might be that you do for your job. But it's making sure that you're scheduling deep, intense periods of work. The reason why this is on my list is because it's a book that I reread all the time, but I think the main thing is having the awareness of what is shallow work and what is deep work. This was transformative for me personally because it allowed me to set up my schedule and focus on what is giving the most output for my goals, rather than what seems to be just work for the sake of work. And I think that awareness is critical, especially if you're trying to maximize your time and productivity. If you're someone that is looking to upgrade your productivity in 2022, I know we all are, we all want to do more, then I definitely recommend picking up Deep Work by Cal Newport. The third and last book in my non-fiction list is the book The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. And followers of mine will know how much I love this book. And the book is centered on the philosophy of Stoicism and the teachings from Marcus Aurelius, who was Roman emperor. And I don't consider myself to be a Stoic, but I like some of the philosophies inside. And the book is based on the quote by Marcus Aurelius, which is, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." And it's how you can use adversities and obstacles and flip them on their own head to turn them into your advantage. Since reading the book in 2018, I've read it every year since, and in some years even multiple times. It has been 4 very difficult years for me, both personally and professionally. And I think the reason why this book has stuck with me all those years is because I've needed it. I've needed it when going through difficulties, and everyone goes through difficulties. You're watching this video and you will have your own difficulties that you're going through. And I think understanding how you can use those difficulties and turn them into your own advantage is amazing, to try and understand that mindset shift and reframing every obstacle as an opportunity to grow and learn and become better. If you're looking for a book as an introduction into Stoicism, or you're looking for a book to try and understand the obstacles in front of you and actually overcome them, then I definitely recommend picking up the book The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. It is one of my favorite books and I reread it every single year, and you should definitely add it to your list. Now on to my fiction list, and the first book is 1984 by George Orwell. And the term classic gets thrown around a lot in the fiction world. It doesn't seem like it's the same in the non-fiction world, but in fiction, the term classic gets thrown around a lot. And George Orwell's book 1984 definitely falls into that category. Orwell's dystopian novel is a creative outlet for his despair at the state of socialism during his life. And this book is basically a reflection of his despair and frustration in fiction form. I have a personal affiliation with George Orwell, whose real name is Eric Arthur Blair, but he actually spent a term at the school that I went to when I was a kid, and when I found that out, I was amazed. But he actually was known to say that he hated the school, but we'll ignore that bit. But I think the reason why I love this book is the same reason why I love A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. It's this idea of understanding our position as an individual within the state that we live in, and whether we are being controlled by the state or whether we are allowing the state to control us. And that relationship is very poignant. And the reason why this book is so amazing is because it very much looked at the state of history at that period of time. And if you follow history or you follow politics, you'll know that we're very much in the same situation as citizens in this time, and becoming cognizant of our relationship with the state is very important. And reading a non-fiction book is one thing, but understanding it from a fiction point of view can sometimes give more meaning to the situation. So if you're someone that is looking for a great fiction book to read to understand this topic, but also to get you thinking, then definitely I recommend reading 1984 by George Orwell. The second book in my fiction list is Notes from the Underground by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky is one of my favorite authors in general, and like 1984 by George Orwell, which was looking at the support for Stalinist policies during that time, Dostoevsky is very much a snapshot into what it was like to live in Soviet Russia in the early 1900s. The language and mood of the main author is palpable when you read it. There is a visceral sense of self-loathing, and I think this is a very interesting book to read, because if you understand early 1900s in Soviet Union, you'll know of the living conditions of the citizens at the time. And it's interesting reading this book because it's definitely a reflection on the individual. It's the individual who is self-loathing, understanding that he is not enough, and he is battling the internal dialogue that he has in his mind, but also the external circumstances as well. He takes this out on his diary, and I love that, because as someone who has a journal and writes his thoughts and ideas in on a daily basis, it definitely, when I read this the first time, it definitely transformed the way I saw a diary, because it's not necessarily a way of voicing your opinions about things or just for goal setting. It can be a way for you to voice your frustrations to the world. And I think people like to voice their frustrations to the world, whether it be on social media or to their close friends and families. But I think using a journal or writing down your frustrations can be a great way or an outlet to do that without affecting other people. Now, this book is amazing because I love psychology. Reading non-fiction psychology is amazing. And I love reading history as well. And this brings 3 of my favorite things together: fiction, history, and psychology. Trying to understand the individuals inside of them from a psychological point of view, understanding the historical narrative being in the early 1900s, and also loving the fiction writing as well. The plot, the story, everything comes together and culminates in the book that I absolutely love. So if you're interested in those subjects and also looking to read a book that is challenging and will challenge you as an individual, then I definitely recommend picking up Notes from the Underground by Fyodor Dostoevsky. The last book in my list of 2022 is the fiction book Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. And this is a book that I listen to all the time. Unfortunately, I don't have the hard copy with me, but it's one of those audiobooks that I love to listen to, and I recently listened to it over the Christmas period. And I'm not really into murder mysteries. It's not really a genre that I've well versed in, but this is one of those books that I absolutely love. And it's basically set on the Orient Express with a train, and it's the famous Agatha Christie character, Hercule Poirot, that is looking to investigate a murder on the train. The reason why I love this book is just the suspense. It's murder mystery. It does what it says on the tin. You know, you're always questioning who murdered Ratchet throughout the whole story, and I'm obviously not going to give the story away because that would be terrible of me. But the way that it's written, the scenery, the language, it's very easy to read. You know, 1984 and Notes from the Underground, which was the two books I recommended before this, are very difficult to read. But if you're someone who reads a lot of non-fiction and you're looking to read a fiction book, then I think Murder on the Orient Express is a great book to add to your list because it's gripping, it's fun, it's exciting, and the ending is amazing and will leave you wanting to read more, which is one of the great things about fiction books. Is you want to read more, you want to, you know, get the author, obviously you can't with Agatha Christie because unfortunately she's passed away, but you want to get the author and ask them for some more, and frankly she's written loads of books, so you're definitely not short of choice. But for someone who's a well-versed fiction reader, I'm not too sure how much this book would appeal to you, but definitely for someone who is a avid non-fiction reader and is looking to read more fiction this year, I definitely recommend picking up this book. That's my list. Those are must-read books in 2022. These are 6 books that I absolutely love, and hopefully you can add these to your list for this year. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you'd like to purchase any of these books, I'll put affiliate links in the description below, so if you'd like to purchase any of those, I'll get a slight kickback on that, and I'm truly appreciative of that. Thank you again for watching this video. If you haven't liked, shared, or subscribed, please do. We have some great videos coming out soon, book related, and also how to become a better reader. Thank you again, and I'll see you in the next video.